giggling there. You have obviously some good memories from that, but a lot of bad memories.
A lot of bad ones. I mean, that was really scary. We ended up getting in the secondary eye wall of that, and it got a lot worse than I showed you, but that was brutal.
Okay, so we're going to go about all of our memories because the tropics are so active. A snapshot of your Sunday so you can make those plans. And I tell you what, those thunderstorms are really strong in southern Missouri, northern Arkansas this morning.
And that's where we have that brand new severe thunderstorm watch. Southern Missouri watching you guys down into northern Arkansas. Maybe you've got a friend or relative who just moved into their college dorm there in Arkansas. Looks like we could be in for some rough weather as that cold front moves on through. Very windy and cool behind it, though.
Very windy, very cool. Definitely need to maybe grab a jacket or at least a sweater this morning. How about that severe threat across Michigan on into Indiana today and even portions of Kentucky? Now, that severe threat, you'll notice, doesn't go on down to the south, but we still have a lot of thunderstorms in the forecast.
Yeah, I mean, that's not to say we couldn't have a severe warning firing up in Alabama, even Georgia, watching Atlanta, but still just your general thunderstorms are going to be around with all that humidity in the air. Temperatures well up into the 80s and 90s in the south.
And of course, still low visibility out west thanks to all the smoke that we have going on. Now, actually, during a Niki, the crew of Jurassic Park was filming in Kauai, the Garden Island, and Steven Spielberg's team actually used some of those hurricane rains in the movie, believe it or not. Okay, let's talk about Kilo because whenever you see those, it doesn't look like much. And you've had so many so many near approaches so far this year, these hurricanes that approach from the east, and you're saying, hey, they keep missing us and being shredded apart. Well, this is way to the south and it's moving off toward the west. So you're saying, okay, what's going on here? Well, let's dive a little deeper. The water temperature, record warm, not just warm, record warm. We've got 84 degrees here, 85 degrees at this buoy. So we've got everything in place to really allow this to strengthen fairly quickly. So look at these model forecasts and look at the range of them. Now, there are one or two that keep it tropical storm, tropical depression strength, but look at this. This is several model forecasts bringing it to a Category 5 storm. Category 5. The official forecast not calling for that 100-mile-an-hour hurricane. The question is, where does it go? This is obviously a very large error cone. It is possible that it could get kind of caught up and stalled out over here, but obviously the western islands of Hawaii and even Oahu on alert this morning for going on right now. I tell you what. Look at all these lightning strikes across southern Missouri, stretching into Kansas this morning. There's no sleeping in. I know that if you have a dog that gets nervous with thunder and lightning, they are snuggled up right next to you right now because Springfield, Missouri, you're just getting plowed through with these tremendous number of lightning bolts. But then also you've got this very strong wind gusts involved in these thunderstorms. Branson, you're under the severe thunderstorm warning until 6 a.m. This entire area here, Barry, Lawrence, and Stone counties is what we've got going on. Take a look at this. Thunderstorm wind damage actually reported, some power lines down near Nisho. So we do have some damage reports along the history of that thunderstorm. How does this evolve today, though? It's all along this cold front. As it dips it low, brings it on down south and off toward the east. We're going to chase the thunderstorms with that and all that moisture ending up in the DFW Metroplex and even to Midland, Odessa. It has been so long since we have seen rainfall in Texas. In some spots, it has been 2 months or more since you've seen a drop of rain. So it is going to be incredible to see a little rainfall there, and amazing from feast to famine and back again. Huntsville, Alabama, no sleeping in there. You've got a lot of thunder and lightning. Down south to Coleman, heaviest rain has moved on through. However, you still have quite a bit of those downpours coming down, and these are heading toward the Atlanta metro. Probably going to be here before 10 a.m. And then we've got a little shield of rain behind that stretching on down south to Macon. We've got those stronger storms. Look at these, though, roaring across Arkansas, Mississippi, and into Louisiana, and then fizzling out along the Gulf Coast closer to dinner time tonight. Jacksonville, though, could still see some pretty strong thunderstorms for your Sunday dinner plans.
I wish we could have some of that rainfall in the west, Kate. As you know, it's a
of thunderstorms, at least on the satellite image, not very large at all. Very small storm, very compact. Even as it was a hurricane and a major hurricane as that, it was still a very small storm. Still, there is some moisture here. Winds are at 50 miles an hour. It's moving, chugging off toward the west. Not even moving, just plowing at 15 miles an hour. Kind of surprising thanks to the strong shear, but that shear going to just poof, take off the top of those clouds as it makes its way into the Caribbean, and that's going to weaken it even further. The reason that shear is bad for hurricanes is that, and by the way, this was put in here lovingly by our weather producer, Greg. It's his last day with us here on the mornings. He's moving to another shift, and we're going to miss him. So thank you, Greg. Thanks for this. He knows I love to talk about wind shear, so thank you for putting this in for me. Okay, so what happens is that we get this wind shear, and as you go higher in the atmosphere, it's usually out of the west in the Atlantic, and this is what really inhibits a lot of this thunderstorm development within these developing tropical cyclones. We get all of this warm air that's being released as those thunderstorms develop, that latent heat, but we want to keep it stacked on top of each other so we form a warm core in the center of that. Not happening whenever you get the shear, cuts it right off the top and carries some of that heat out away from the center of the storm. So that's what inhibits further development and weakens those a lot. Another thing that really weakens systems are mountainous terrains, and we've got a lot of that. Even the Virgin Islands, as small as they are, they're pretty mountainous. Hispaniola, very mountainous terrain there. So even as this weakens, thanks to the wind shear, it'll also weaken because of the terrain that it's going over. There's a very, very small chance that a couple of the models on a couple of the runs, Kelly, have been hinting at that there could be some minor re-strengthening if it goes on the north side of that track over the Bahamas rather than over Hispaniola. So we'll watch that because the water's pretty warm. And
it's got some dry air though to overcome.
Some dry air, but it's moistened up a little bit. So, you know, okay, a lot of thunderstorms going on this morning, and they are on their way toward Atlanta, but you know, right now in Birmingham, they are just coming on down. If you have kids or dogs, anything, horses that are nervous in thunderstorms, you know that they're all in your bed this morning. Huntsville, you've got a lot of thunder and lightning right now, but it's moved out of Coleman. Now you've just got some rainfall. Up 59, you're going to see some travel trouble today because especially this morning, you've got these very heavy downpours. 20 also going to be a problem spot for us. Look at how this evolves through the day. Watch, Atlanta, you get in on the action, but you don't really ever leave it. Neither does Huntsville. You kind of just stay in this mushy mess of showers and thunderstorms. Almost a line, though, that moves its way across Atlanta through the afternoon. We've got several showers and thunderstorms across Mississippi. And then look at this. This trails across the Panhandle down into New Orleans by 7:30 tonight. So just kind of sticking around. This is what's happening in the Midwest. A little farther to the north here, severe thunderstorm warning still going on south of Springfield now into Branson, Berry, McDonald, and Stone counties until 6 a.m. This thing is plowing through Missouri and heading into Arkansas. We've already seen some wind gusts in Arkansas, 36 miles an hour. How about them apples? So Independence, Kansas, you're still getting soaked there. And look at this watch that was recently issued, severe thunderstorm watch, because that particular line is going to continue to have gusty winds and a tremendous amount of lightning. So very strong there. As it moves to the south, we are going to see it weaken some, but still produce some shower and thunderstorm activity, especially later on this afternoon. We get a little heat of the day behind it as well across Texas. And we'll see some showers in the DFW Metroplex today across to Midland, Odessa. So some welcome rainfall actually there. It's been a long time since you've seen some. Peoria to Springfield, across 70 down into St. Louis. You still have a little bit of rain going on, but as that front makes its way a little farther east, that's when this kicks in. We get all the right dynamics in place across Michigan, Indianapolis, south into Kentucky for some very strong storms, possibly even severe. So that's what's happening for thunderstorms for you today. But what about what's happening to Danny? Because all coastal your next 7 days across the country, here's what's going on. You've got showers and thunderstorms in the southeast. It's kind of this persistent stormy forecast, but look at that red zone. That's where we have the potential for severe weather today, and chilly and windy behind that. Stays pretty cool in Minneapolis tomorrow. Your high only 70, only 75 in Chicago. The northeast, you start to see the showers and thunderstorms return as we get that cold front kind of fizzling out on top of you. Starts to clear out by Tuesday, and you're actually going to feel an improvement in your weather. The humidity going to be cut down, feel more comfortable outside. How about Denver though? 94 degrees, and those monsoonal rains continue in the desert southwest. Some of those getting up into the Rockies by the time we head into Wednesday. Otherwise fairly quiet across the country as we rebound on some of those temperatures after they cool down quite a bit. Look at this next system on Thursday. As it moves across the northern plains, we will see thunderstorms along with it, staying mostly dry this week in the Pacific Northwest and out on the West Coast. But as we get later into the week and closer to the weekend, we could see some enhanced rainfall there. And then Florida, you know, you're just not going to get out of that mix. Just not going to happen anytime soon. By next Saturday, we've got our next system starting to make its way across the Midwest. And Florida is just not until late October is your first average cold front that successfully makes it through.
Gotta wait a while for that.
But, you know, we also have some stuff to talk about.
Other side of the world.
On the other side of in the Atlantic, and not Danny.
Not Danny.
Not Danny, right. There are perhaps more substantial stories now beginning to emerge across parts of the Atlantic. And
right.
There they are in the eastern Atlantic. A couple of circles out there that I want to talk about.
It kind of looked as though things were going to be getting more primed up in the Atlantic for late August into September. Is that playing out?
I think so. It certainly looks like it. We have a robust cluster of tropical disturbances moving from Africa over the Atlantic Ocean. One here, not a lot of thunderstorm activity, but that's typical when they move out over the cooler, more stable atmosphere over the water. But this one right here actually is in Invest, right? This is now Invest 98L. The Hurricane Center is investigating this one for possible development.
Okay, so possible development. Has the atmosphere been primed out ahead of this by Danny?
You know what? I'm looking at it. I'm thinking not. I originally did, but look what I'm seeing here. Right back up in here. You see all those kind of low clouds right in here. There is a lot more dry and stable air coming into the MDR, the main development region from Africa, that this thing is going to have to deal with the entire lifetime.
Good news there, then, right?
Could be, but here, I know it's like you're trying to fit. But here's the thing. That's kind of, yeah, there are plenty of obstacles that you can look on the weather map and say, aha, this is going to do it in. But some of the models are fairly aggressive with this particular system, so we will keep an eye on it. It is one of these what are called African easterly waves. This one is Invest 98L right there, and this is the one behind it. And it's just one of those things this time of year we need to keep a pretty close eye on, because some of the models, here's the GFS. This is a coarse version, a coarse grain version of the GFS model, kind of moving it that way, and you can see even it has a circle there in the mean sea level pressure. So that will be something to contend with on its westward way, and maybe one behind it as well.
Okay, so just because we look off the coast of Africa doesn't mean we don't pay attention here close to home, but this time of year, we really start to see things get going.
Big hurricanes come from these things coming off of Africa, so we got to pay attention to them.
Obviously, okay. So still ahead on AMHQ weekend. Love to nerd out with you, so it'll be cool to have that opportunity. Look at this. Speaking of nerding out.
There you go. Look at that little gust front right there out ahead of that thunderstorm complex moving through southwestern Missouri and now into northwest Arkansas.
You know what that's doing? It's killing off these thunderstorms, which is great. We've had these severe thunderstorm warnings all morning long through Springfield and into Branson. Now your maximum wind gusts about 35 miles an hour. Still a lot of thunder and lightning, especially closing in on northwest Arkansas and across Tulsa, Broken Arrow, a lot of Oklahoma here. Look at that.
Loud thunder booming out there.
Nearly 2,000 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes alone.
Right. So, yeah, hopefully don't lose your power, and you can still watch us here on AMHQ Weekend, right? But we're also tracking storms moving into the west side of Atlanta right now. I'm wondering if we're going to get that soccer tournament in later on today. Thunderstorms in eastern Alabama as well. Not severe, but they could get severe.
I wish I was snuggled under my covers right now, right? Doesn't that weather make you feel like that? Well, hopefully you're snuggled under your covers, because we have a lot going on in this next jam-packed hour of AMHQ Weekend. Danny, one of many things to talk about. The tropics alive.
Very much so.